right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Snow Show, episode 7, coming to you live again from the Olivia studio here in Chuck Blum's room. Matter of fact, Jim and I were just talking about Chuck, and we are glad to have you on. So today's show, our guest is Jim Menton, new school superintendent here at Bold. Jim, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here.
I usually don't like to ask that question because what are you going to say? I'm terrible.
It's been a horrible day.
Yeah, no, I'm terrible. I don't want to do, that type of thing. So I'm going to try to get away from that question even down the road. But
sure.
Jim, it's been an interesting week down here in the Olivia area, and I want to say the Olivia School District. Lake Lillian, Bird Island, Olivia comprise of the Bold schools. And I was kind of wondering who I was going to interview this week. And my wife says, how about Jim Menton? And I'm like, oh, that's a good guy to interview. I had people up in Wilmer even contact me. Hey, what do you know of the new superintendent? So I'm going to lay this out right away here so people know. I highly encouraged and loved the hire of Jim Menton as our superintendent of schools. And Jim knows that. I talked to him beforehand. I talked to you months ago when we knew that Dale Bransoy was resigning and the school would be looking for a superintendent. And so, again, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to ask you some tough questions today, Jim, because I think there's many people out there that want to hear you answer some tough questions. And you said, yeah, I get it. Let's do this. So hopefully you're ready for some of these bombshells.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe is the right answer.
You've got me a little nervous now, but yeah.
Let's go back to the process. So Dale Bransoy retires, puts in his notice, and now we got to get some applications. You had to hem and haw, I'm sure, over that, knowing the situation that Bold is in. Talk me through that a little bit, Jim. How did your mind play out as to should I apply, shouldn't I apply? What were the things that you were weighing out in your mind in your life?
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess I had initially thought about starting my superintendent program. I was my first or second year that I was at Bold, and it just didn't feel right. Sometimes you start something and then there's a bunch of weird stuff that happens that maybe you take as a sign that maybe this isn't the right time to do this. And that's sort of what happened a couple of years ago. And then after Dale came in, 3 years ago, I started thinking about it more and more. And so then I decided, well, this is as good a time as any to take the plunge. I've always loved it here. And when Dale started talking about resigning, we actually had to talk him into coming back a couple of years in a row. But it's been great working with him, and I've learned a lot from him, and it just made me want to do this job even more. And I know I've been thinking about whether or not I'd be able to get this job here for probably a year. I knew he wasn't going to stay forever, and I love my job as a principal here. I've been at a few other schools as principal, and I feel it most at home right here. So like I say, this is just something that I really wanted to do. I can't say that my life goal has always been to be a superintendent, but I think that we're in a tough spot right now. I have a lot of people telling me, you don't know how tough it is. This is a lot harder than you think. And somebody said it's going to take a miracle to bring this district around. And I agree that it's going to be tough, but I think I don't think it's going to take a miracle. I think it's going to take some hard work and maybe leading by example and just listening to what people have to say.
So Jim, so we get down to the two candidates. You interview as one of the final two, and you came up to the golf club and sat there in your beautiful suit and wanted to chat to me. And I said, Jim, go home. Remember me saying that to you?
Yeah, you said that a couple times. Yeah.
I go, Jim, you got to go home. Mm-hmm. And you were like, what? You know what? I go, because I don't want to be here if the news is bad. That type of thing. And we went through some stuff that night, Jim. And I think everybody should know the human side of this because you're a person. We have human emotions and things happen. And you're sitting up there, got the call that the board voted to table and possibly even restart and go back. Now, I was kind of there at the time when you got up and walked away, but I wasn't privy to what was going on in your head. So recap that for me a little bit. Remember, I wanted you home when that happened because I thought I was fearing the worst, and that was potentially the worst. So in your mind, kind of, I'm sure the initial reaction was, what in the world? I'm sure it was. That would have been for me. But after you get through that, kind of talk me through some of the things, or talk us, because I think people would want to hear the human side of what was your, I mean, my thought would have been, is Antarctica open? Is there a job up there that I could go to? That would have been my thought as a golf pro. There's been times where I've thought in my mind of, hey, maybe they don't want me here. Maybe I need to go. So go ahead. I'm talking a lot. I do that a lot, Jim. You know.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. That was a really tough evening. I fully expected it to go my way, and I would say that was probably. This is not an exaggeration. This isn't hyperbole. It was probably the third toughest day of my life that night, the next morning. And I honestly will compare it to the deaths of both of my parents. It was just this shock, like a numbness. I couldn't believe that it went down the way that it did. And I was sad. I was confused. I guess I can't say I was angry, but definitely upset.
If you were angry, Jim, I didn't see it. You were very composed that evening, even more so than I thought. I remember joking with some of the other people there, and if you didn't appear. You did a good job of hiding it. So keep going. Sorry.
No, I guess I'm glad you point that out. I try to stay positive. I tell a lot of jokes because I think that's how I comfort myself. Yeah. And, in some respects, it's like when you talk to people that work ambulance crews or fire departments, they make a lot of jokes about what they do that many people might find off color, but they're doing it
right.
As a release.
That's right.
And I guess my whole life, I think that I've resorted to humor, and I'm glad I do that. I tend to be very positive, even when I'm upset. So,
So you get to the next morning.
Yeah.
We have no clue, and we're talking. Oh, was it Thursday morning, Jim? I can't remember what night you're up there. Was it Wednesday night?
Thursday night.
Thursday night you're up there. So you get to Friday morning, and you have to go into school the next day. And I know you're talking. You're like, man, it's gonna be tough to go in. I would have had trouble going in, but now you have a night to sleep on it.
Actually, I called Dale Bransoy, the superintendent, that night, and I said, Dale, I'm not coming in tomorrow. I can't do it. And then I ended up waking up. I'm not a morning person, but I woke up about 5:30 that morning. I couldn't get back to sleep, and by 6 o'clock, I've already decided, no, I'm going in. And you can't let I couldn't let that take away from who I am here, and that's not fair for the students, the staff here. And it's not who I am. So I did show up. I know I told a couple other people I'm not coming in. They're like, yeah, you shouldn't come in.
And I know we laugh and joke about it because I can only imagine how tough that would be to go back to the place where it's like maybe I'm not wanted here.
Yeah. And that was exactly going through my head. And I talked to people on the phone that night when I got home, and I'd rent this tiny little farmhouse, and I bet I walked a mile just on the phone talking to people. Um, it was tough. I couldn't fall asleep. It was probably 2:30 or so before I actually fell asleep. So I didn't get a lot of sleep that night, which didn't help me not feel numb and upset the next day. But it was, yeah, it was not a fun experience. But it's life's not always full of fun experiences.
Yeah, that's true. We do grow through adversity, no doubt about it, and everybody's had their share. But I felt for you that night because I think we've all been to some degree of that. So let's fast forward to Monday. So Monday we have 100 people show up. Obviously, there's people thinking that yes, we need to start the search over, and other people that were there thinking no, let's hire Jim. So we see on the agenda that there's an opportunity to rescind the vote to start over. And I'll be the first to admit that I was there to support that decision. I know your character, Jim. You've been around us for 5 years now, and I've gotten to know you very well. And that's good enough for me. Piece of paper, whether or not that you know books or know how to lead a school is secondary to me. First to me is character. So I'll just interject that. So anyways, so we get there and you're sitting back there probably wondering how this is all going to go down. So give us some emotion of during that meeting.
It was all kinds of stuff because I tend to try to see the best in people, and I tend to assume people are doing things for the best reasons, so I also know that a lot of the people that didn't want to see me get this job, a lot of them are I consider friends.
Yep.
And I don't hold that against anybody. I've sat down and talked to 4 or 5 of them, and I just I understand where they're coming from. Some of the things that I've heard were, some people see me, they were worried that I'm the new school guy. I got to have a new school. And don't get me wrong, I love a new school. Who wouldn't want a brand new place to work?
We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Feel my thunder, okay?
Okay, all right. Some people saw me as they feel I know the staff too well, or I'm too friendly with the staff. And I guess when I hear that, I think, gosh, who's a better employee? Somebody that likes coming to work, or somebody that hates coming to work? I'm going to ask you that question. Who's the better employee?
Oh, Jim, you know my philosophy because I am at the OGC. Yeah. I am a guy that if we don't come, I remember a few years ago, I was having no fun coming to work, and I told Randleman, I said, it's no fun anymore. I said, I told him right to his face, I'm looking for work. Yeah. It's because I was having zero fun. And he looked up at me and he's like, I don't know what to say. And I go, there's nothing you can say. I want to come to work. I want to have fun at work. That's why I do a lot of these things. So keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I absolutely believe that. And if students are going to learn better from teachers that are happy with their job. Students are going to learn better when the climate of the building is a positive climate, rather than people that are showing up because that's how they get a paycheck. So I firmly believe you need to treat your employees well. You have to be very friendly with them. I agree. You can't be hanging out all the time with people. If you're best friends with people, that gets in the way. That will inhibit the decisions that you make. But that does not mean I can't go out to Max's once in a while, or go to a get together once in a while, and show people that I'm a human also outside of work. So I don't even remember what the question was.
Yeah, no, you did a great job of kind of going through your mind. You're looking to best the people. So we're on Monday, and what were some of the other emotions that you went through on Monday as you were walking through? And I remember, if you remember, I came up to you right after because I wanted to get there, and I said, Jim, congratulations. Now, please take the job. Because just because you're offered doesn't mean that you take it.
No. And it took me a while to decide to do it, but again, it was just it's frustration. I spend a lot of time trying to make my school look good, and I get really upset when I see stuff happens that doesn't make it look good. There were some kids that got in trouble today for some minor vandalism that we can fix, but that happens all the time in any school. But man, that just irks me because it was in a bathroom that we just painted, and it's right by the gym, so we've got graduation coming up, and I don't want us to. I hate it when stuff happens to make us look bad,
right.
And I don't like it when you get all of this emotion, and because it doesn't make us look good, and when we look bad, it invariably our kids look bad, and we can't let that happen. I've mentioned this to a few people in the last couple of weeks. It's like if you're out and you see somebody at the park or wherever, two parents yelling at each other, and they got their kids with them, you just feel bad for those kids.
Right.
You don't. It doesn't make anybody look good, and I guess I really firmly believe in making the people around you look good. But it's easy to drag someone's name through the mud. Anybody can do that. It takes no talent, but you got to work to make people look good sometimes. And if you want to do what's best for kids, that's what we got to do. I feel I'm about to probably start talking about something else you're probably going to ask me. So I'm going to.
Well, we only got a few minutes left. These 20 minutes go fast, by the way. So I want to hit one other topic that is huge, and obviously it was the new building idea, which was voted down 81% to 19%. I was part of the 19%. I'm a guy that wants to press forward and move on, and let's do. Me at the golf course, Jim. I do this all the time to you guys. I want to press forward. I want to move on. I want to build a new building. I want to have a new bunker. I want a new tee box, and let's see if we can do it. If we can't, we can't. Well, the 81% told us we can't, and that's okay. Now we have to. Mm-hmm. Now I feel like maybe we need to listen. So what's your next step moving forward, knowing that referendum failed 81% to 19? I'm sure you've thought about this over the course of, if I become soup, what am I going to do here? So lay it on us, Jim. What are you thinking?
Yeah, well, like you say, we've got to listen. We've got a group of people telling us that we don't listen to the community, which may or may not be true. I think it's clear that they don't think we're listening to them. So it really doesn't matter if we are or not. If they think we're not listening to them, it's the same thing.
Correct.
I say that to teachers. If you like a kid and the kid doesn't know it, it's the same to them as you not liking them. So if we're listening but they don't know it, it doesn't matter. So we do need to listen. Just because we don't do what you want me to do doesn't mean I'm not listening to you either. But at the same time, I don't think we've done a good job of that. We need to really slow down and take a look at what it is people want. I was talking. I'm not going to say who it was, but a very good family, and it was the mom of the family, someone I highly, highly respect. I ran out of power a couple of years ago, and they took me into their house for the night, and so it's good family, good person. And she said that, I voted against it. She said, I'm not going to lie. I was part of the 81%, and said the thing is that we've got a perfectly good partial building here. Not all of it, but some of it's really worth saving. And we need to build on that. And I couldn't agree more. In fact, that was actually the original idea. It wasn't until we started talking to the hospital and found out that they thought that what they were going to do. Can we do something together? Right. And turns out that I thought it was a great idea, but 81% did it. So.
Right. So, Jim, we only got a couple seconds left. So I just, again, we're going to continue and do this some other time. But I just wanted to get those initial thoughts, and thank you for coming on the show after what has been a tough week for you, I'm sure.
Thank you, Greg. Let's get some of this Dr. Pepper Zero out at the golf course. Okay.
We'll do what we can. That's
Way
Jim.
better than Diet Dr. Pepper.
Jim Menton, Bold Schools. Thank you all for the Snow Show episode 8. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Greg.